Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're unsure if she's genuinely interested or just being polite? It's frustrating, I know. The language of women goes far beyond words, and today I'm going to show you how to identify the signs that often go unnoticed. There are subtle gestures and behaviors that reveal when a woman is truly attracted to you. By the end of this video, you'll be able to interpret 5 unmistakable signs of female interest, completely transforming your ability to understand and respond to displays of attraction. These are practical tips that can help you avoid the infamous friend zone and recognize the right moment to take the next step. The tone of voice represents an extremely sophisticated communication channel when we talk about demonstrations of romantic interest. Behavioral scientists reveal that subtle changes in intonation can convey deep emotions that words could never express. When a woman develops genuine attraction, her vocal tone undergoes almost imperceptible transformations. The voice tends to become softer, more melodic, with modulations that capture the listener's attention. This change doesn't happen by chance. It is an unconscious psychological mechanism designed to spark interest. Imagine a conversation where she seems closer, with a more intimate and inviting tone. This communicational tool aims to establish a differentiated emotional connection. The vocal change acts as a subtle invitation, revealing a desire for closeness that goes beyond verbal aspects. Psychologists specialized in nonverbal communication recognize that these tonal variations are remnants of primitive seduction behaviors. Our biological heritage has programmed us to send and recognize signals from potential partners, and tone of voice is one of those fundamental codes. Pay attention to how she speaks to you compared to how she interacts with others. Is there a subtle difference? Probably yes. When a woman is interested, her voice acquires special nuances. It becomes lower, closer, with strategic pauses that invite intimacy. It's not just about volume or intensity, but a complex composition of sound elements that reveal emotional interest. Vocal scientist Sarah Thompson highlights that these modifications are involuntary and represent true markers of attraction. The secret lies in the sensitivity to catch these nuances. Don't search for obvious signs, pay attention to details. A voice that becomes more deliberate, with more frequent laughter, softer tones. All of this can indicate that you've awakened something special in her. Therefore, develop your perception. Listen beyond the words. The vocal tone can be the most honest communication channel, revealing desires and intentions that often remain hidden beneath the surface of conventional conversations. Attentiveness represents a sophisticated code of romantic communication that often goes unnoticed. When a woman is genuinely interested, her attention transcends ordinary politeness, transforming into an elaborate demonstration of emotional connection. Notice how she starts to dedicate special energy to your interactions. The signs appear in small, seemingly insignificant details. She remembers your dog's name, recounts a story you shared weeks ago, or asks about specific aspects of your professional life. These actions are not mere courtesy, but subtle strategies for getting closer. Her dedication reveals a genuine emotional investment. Unlike a casual interaction where questions are superficial, she seeks to understand your deeper layers. Her interest manifests through inquiries that go beyond the trivial, indicating a desire to build a meaningful connection. Communicative persistence is another fundamental indicator. She doesn't just respond, she initiates conversations, keeps the dialogue flowing, and demonstrates authentic curiosity about your life. Her engagement transcends mere social etiquette. It becomes an invitation for potential intimacy. Pay attention to the consistency of these behaviors. A genuinely interested woman will maintain this pattern of attentiveness not just at one specific moment, but continuously. Her dedication translates into emotional availability, an unmistakable sign that you've stirred something special in her. These gestures carry a silent yet extremely eloquent language. Every question, every moment of dedicated attention functions as a subtle whisper that says, "I'm interested in you beyond the ordinary." It's a refined way to demonstrate interest without fully exposing her intention. So when you perceive this differentiated attentiveness, be alert. These are not just kind words. They are true invitations for a deeper connection. The woman who truly cares will invest energy, time, and attention to build a meaningful approach. The key is to be sensitive enough to catch these communicational codes. Observe the details, interpret the subtext, and recognize when your presence awakens a genuine interest that goes far beyond the surface of everyday interactions. Hair gestures emerge as a fascinating body language within the realm of seduction. When a woman develops genuine attraction, her hair movements gain meanings that go beyond mere aesthetic adjustment. Imagine the following scenario. You are talking, and subtly, she starts twirling a strand of hair around her fingers, alternating discreet glances and shy smiles. These gestures are not mere hair adjustments. They are true codes of nonverbal communication that reveal romantic interest. Behavioral scientists identify these movements as remnants of primitive attraction behaviors. Playing with hair works as a silent invitation, an unconscious way to draw attention and demonstrate vulnerability. Evolutionary psychology suggests that this behavior is deeply rooted in our biological heritage. By exposing her neck and making delicate movements with her hair, a woman signals openness and interest, activating ancestral psychological mechanisms of seduction. Observe the details. The gesture doesn't need to be exaggerated. A light touch on the side of her hair, a discreet adjustment behind her ear, or the act of tossing her locks back can carry intense messages of attraction. The frequency and context of these gestures are crucial for their interpretation. When performed during a close conversation, accompanied by smiles and prolonged eye contact, these movements gain the status of genuine romantic interest signifiers. Neurologically, these gestures are linked to the release of hormones like dopamine and serotonin, which provoke sensations of pleasure and connection. So, when she plays with her hair near you, it is not just a casual movement, but a complex body language loaded with intentions. Develop your sensitivity to catch these subtle codes. Don't look for obvious signs. Pay attention to the details. A seemingly simple gesture can reveal an entire universe of emotions and desires that go far beyond conventional words. Disguised physical contact emerges as a body language full of meanings when we talk about demonstrations of romantic interest. Women develop subtle strategies of approach that go beyond traditional words, using seemingly unpretentious touches to communicate desire and connection. These contacts may seem completely accidental, but they carry deep intentionality. Imagine a situation where she adjusts her collar, lightly touches your arm during a conversation, or finds excuses to reduce physical distance. Each of these gestures represents a sophisticated code of nonverbal communication. Researchers specialized in human behavior identify these moments as true markers of attraction. A fleeting touch on the hand, a casual brushing of shoulders. These are unconscious strategies for establishing emotional proximity. Neuroscience proves that these contacts trigger the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, creating an almost imperceptible chemical connection. Anthropologically, these behaviors represent remnants of primitive partner selection mechanisms. A woman seeks to reduce physical distances in a calculated way, testing male receptivity through seemingly random touches. Every contact serves as a subtle invitation, a delicate provocation aiming to awaken interest. Pay attention to the intentionality of these gestures. This is not just about physical touches, but a complex communication revealing deep desires. The frequency, duration, and context of these contacts carry elaborate messages about their romantic intentions. Sensitivity to interpret these codes is fundamental. A touch on the hand during a serious conversation, a slight lean on the arm while laughing at a joke. These are signs that transcend the accidental. They represent true invitations for potential intimacy, refined strategies of emotional approach. Develop your perception to catch these nuances. Observe the details, interpret the subtext, and recognize when your presence awakens an interest that demands physical closeness. Silent bodily contact can reveal deeper desires and intentions than 1,000 spoken words. Digital interactions have completely transformed the dynamics of contemporary relationships. In the online universe, signs of interest take on new contours, requiring a sophisticated and attentive interpretation of emerging communicational codes. Every message, every reaction, and every response time carries profound meanings that go far beyond the apparent text. When a woman is genuinely interested, her digital communication reveals specific engagement patterns that betray her true intentions. Pay attention to how she responds to your messages. Quick, elaborate, and enthusiastic responses are powerful indicators of interest. It's not just about speed, but the quality and depth of the content shared. Strategically chosen emojis, comments that deepen the dialogue, and questions that go beyond the trivial represent true invitations for a more intimate connection. Communicative persistence in digital interactions reveals much about her intentions. Does she initiate conversations spontaneously? Does she share memes, songs, or references that suggest a connection? These elements are not mere coincidences, but subtle strategies for emotional approach. Analyze the interaction patterns. A genuinely interested woman will maintain consistency in her communications. They won't just be occasional responses, but a communicative flow that demonstrates a genuine investment in getting to know you better. The language used also provides important clues. More personal messages, with references to moments you've previously discussed, reveal a selective emotional memory. She doesn't just respond. She creates communicative bridges that suggest a desire for closer contact. Digital platforms have become true stages for contemporary seduction. Every like, comment, or message can carry nuances of romantic interest. The key is sensitivity to interpret these complex codes that transcend literal text. Visual resources communicate as well. Stories with indirect messages, posts that seem directed at you, or strategic tags serve as subtle signals of interest. Digital communication has created its own language of seduction, full of codes that require refined interpretation. So, develop your digital perception, observe the details, interpret the subtext, and recognize when your presence awakens interest that demands closeness, even through a smartphone screen. Reciprocity represents the beating heart of any true romantic interaction. It is not just a unidirectional game, but a delicate dance where both participants actively contribute to developing the connection. Just imagine, you are putting in effort, genuinely showing interest, and you notice that she not only reciprocates, but also invests energy in the interaction. This back-and-forth movement constitutes what we call emotional reciprocity, a powerful indicator of potential romantic involvement. The signs of this balanced exchange manifest in subtle and complex ways. When she reciprocates your displays of affection, responds enthusiastically to your initiatives, and demonstrates a true investment in communication, you may be looking at a promising connection. Reciprocity goes beyond simple, courteous responses. It manifests through active engagement, where both share moments, personal stories, and reveal vulnerabilities. The balance in this communication signals a mutual interest that exceeds superficiality. Observe how she reacts to your gestures. They are not just kind words. They are an authentic response indicating harmony. When your approaches are met with the same level of energy and interest, this suggests a real possibility for romantic development. The nature of this exchange communicates much more than words. A prolonged glance, a shared smile, the willingness to listen and understand. All of this composes a silent language that reveals deep emotional connection. Unlike casual interactions, where communication is protocol-oriented, in romantic reciprocity, there is a genuine willingness to create ties. Every gesture, every word becomes an invitation for closeness, a joint movement of two people interested in building something meaningful. Therefore, pay attention to these communication patterns. Don't look for exaggerated or dramatic signs. Instead, focus on the consistency and quality of the interactions. True reciprocity reveals itself in seemingly insignificant details, but loaded with intentionality. The key lies in the sensitivity to capture these subtle codes. When both invest energy, time, and attention in building a connection, you may be facing a truly special potential relationship. Clear communication emerges as an essential tool for deciphering the real intentions in any potential romantic relationship. Nonverbal signals, while important, do not replace honest and direct dialogue. Recognizing the right moment to talk about feelings represents a sophisticated social skill that few master. Establishing a safe space for expressing emotions takes courage and vulnerability. Asking about her feelings does not mean pushing. It shows respect and genuine interest in understanding her perspective. The approach should be gentle, without seeming invasive or aggressive. Contemporary relationship dynamics demand more transparent communication. It's not enough to interpret gestures or behaviors. It's essential to create moments for authentic conversations. A woman values when a man is able to articulate his feelings clearly and respectfully. How she responds to your questions will reveal a lot about her real interest. Evasive answers may indicate hesitation, while openness and reciprocity suggest potential emotional connection. Pay attention to subtle details, the tone of voice, body language, level of engagement during conversation. Mutual vulnerability strengthens any potential relationship. By creating an environment where both feel safe to express what they truly feel, you eliminate communicational noise and minimize misunderstandings. Honesty becomes a much more powerful element of seduction than any calculated strategy. It is important to highlight that this clear communication does not mean revealing everything at once. The process should be gradual, respecting individual limits and the rhythm of each interaction. The sensitivity to perceive when to deepen the dialogue distinguishes a superficial approach from a genuine connection. The courage to question, listen, and be authentic completely transforms relationship dynamics. Set aside the fear of rejection and take a proactive stance. Women appreciate men who can communicate their emotions directly and respectably. Develop your communication ability like a muscle. The more you practice emotional openness, the more natural and fluid this skill becomes. Make communication your greatest ally in building truly meaningful connections. The journey of understanding attraction signals comes to an end, but the true learning has just begun. Every gesture, every look, every vocal whisper represents a complex piece in the fascinating puzzle of romantic interactions. These subtle signs are not absolute rules, but precious guides that can illuminate the path of emotional connection. The secret lies in sensitivity, in the ability to observe beyond the obvious and interpret the nuances that reveal desire and interest. Your mission now is to practice, develop your perception, and transform this knowledge into genuine experiences of closeness.